Hi, my name's Erica and welcome to my channel or welcome back. Here on my channel we talk any and everything yarn related. Today's video is going to be a little bit more informal. It's a chatty story time video. It's going to be about the worst market experience that I've had. So if that sounds like fun to you, grab a project. I've got my cup of tea because I'm going to be spilling a little bit of tea here today. Just so you know, I am getting over a little bit of a cold, so if I sound stuffy, that's why. Hopefully the tea is gonna help, but let's go ahead and look at what project I'm working on before we get into the story time itself. So I'm working on the 6-Day Superstar blanket by Betty McKnit, and this is what it looks like so far. The yarn that I'm using is the Karen Cakes, like ombre yarn, and I saw someone on Instagram use this colorway for this blanket, and I loved the way it turned out. So this is my mom's birthday present. It was supposed to be a Christmas gift, but it took me a lot longer than the 6 days that are in the title, 6-Day Superstar blanket. It's taken me literal months. So I'm going to be working on this at the same time because I got to get this done by her birthday. I do have a little furry friend here with me. I don't know if I should disturb him. Oh, he's so peaceful, but I don't want to disturb the camera, so I'll just show him. He's sitting with me. Say hi, bud. He loves this blanket. Once I finish the one for my mom, I'm going to have to make him one because he's always sitting on it. All right, so our story starts back in October of last year. I think it was October. It was around that time. It was the fall time frame because I was looking for a Halloween market. And I've mentioned in a couple of my videos that I love Halloween. It is my favorite day of the year. Ever since I was a kid, I've just loved dressing up and wearing costumes. I love scary movies. So watching that in October is like pretty equivalent to watching Christmas movies in December. I love both, but I get that same like cozy feeling watching a good old horror movie in October. So all that to say, I was super excited to sell at a Halloween market for the first time. I followed, the standard process. I looked on Google. I found a few different events, and there was one event organizer that I found that did like multiple different Halloween events, and it looked like they had a few events, like maybe a couple events each week, which should have probably raised some alarms to me, but being new, I didn't think about it. The reason I say that is either you're a pro to be able to do that, or you're not dedicating the amount of time and care that you should to each event if you're doing that many. And it was definitely the latter, spoiler alert. So anyway, I found this one organizer, and I didn't know any of this at the time, and they have a really similar name to a very prominent organizer in our area that's well known and very reputable. Like, it's a very similar name. And so being somebody new, I didn't know, I was like, oh, I accidentally found this one and thought that it was that one. But then by association, I was like, oh, it's probably fine. Like, this just helped me stumble upon this, right? So I go on their Instagram, I look, they have like 10,000 followers. I look at their videos. I can see that they have actually had events and they've had people at their events. It looks like the foot traffic is decent. And I liked their flyers. It looked like they actually did some unique stuff, unlike just the really standard typical Halloween market. They had themes, which I thought was really cool. So I applied through a Google form, and I Venmo'd my booth fee to secure my spot, which, looking back on it, hindsight, I mean, it's fine. It happened, but I know hindsight's 2020, right? So I applied not only for a Saturday event with these organizers, but I also applied for a Sunday event 2 days in a row. So this was going to be my first time doing 2 days of markets in a row. And so with that, I was like, I need to prepare a lot just in case I do really well. I don't want to show up empty-handed to the next day. So I prepared a ton of Halloween amigurumis. I was crocheting till 1 a.m. Even with my full-time job. I would wake up really tired, but I was like, I want to have so many plushies. I love Halloween. I mean, this is all noob mistakes to make. You probably shouldn't overmake on your seasonal items, because if you don't sell them, you're stuck with them. I mean, I have them for this year, which is totally fine, but at the time it was really, really Anyway, I don't want to spoil it. We'll go on. So I got accepted to the market after I applied, and then I ended up making tons of different Halloween items because I had this vision for my booth, right? Like I bought cute decorations, I got candy in case there were kids who came in costume. I bought a costume myself. I was so ready for this market, and I was just ready to fulfill my like Hallmark fall. Well, I already have a significant other, so it's not like I'm gonna run into someone, but like, you know, that vibe of being like a little shopkeeper in the fall, like kind of like let's say I'm in Halloween Town or Salem, and I've got like I don't know what I'm saying. So anyway, I buy all this stuff to make my booth the cutest Halloween booth ever, and I'm preparing. I make tons of Halloween stuff. I made a mystery bag with all these really cute Halloween themed bees, tons of ghosts, pumpkins, and I was just ready. So then market day comes around, and the first market is supposed to be like a horror night, and I have a costume from the year prior where I had dressed up like Chucky, and my fiance also had the same costume because we thought it'd be funny to be two Chuckies instead of like a Chucky and a Tiffany. We both just wanted to be Chuckies, so we were gonna wear that to the market. And fortunately, we weren't doing the face paint, but I had already put my costume on, and Devin, my fiance, was going to change when we got there. So we packed the whole car up. We live in a one-bedroom apartment, so we don't have a garage. It's not like the easiest feat to get the car ready to go to a market. We have to go down to the storage unit, get the wagon, make a couple trips, pack my little tiny Prius up with everything, and then drive over. So as we're driving over, I am noticing that it's not the best area, which this is totally on me. Like I should have known or done the research, but even after I had signed up for the market, my fiance, who's local to here, like I've lived in the city that I'm in for a while, but he grew up here. He's like, ooh, that's kind of a sketch area. And I was like, really? And as we're driving there, I'm like, yeah, this is not great. It's just not a great part of town. So I was glad that he was there with me, but we get to the venue. I'm going to use that term very loosely. We get to the venue, which was really just a public park, and we see some of the tents set up. So we're like, okay, it looks like people are here for the market, right? But it does look a little strange and unofficial, but we walk up, and I'm looking for the organizer so I can find out where my spot is, and this gentleman comes walking up, and he is like stumbling, and he's got an open container, and I can't remember if he had like a joint in his hand. I know for a fact he had an open container of beer, and he walks up, he smells like booze, and I'm like, hey, we're here for the event, and he's like, oh, sweet, like you could just get ready anywhere you want, and he reeks of alcohol, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this is not good. So we pick our spot, and I choose to then next to these people we're about to start unpacking. I'm next to people who have like fresh cut fruit, tons of really good looking food, and there's probably like 15 other vendors there that are all ready to go. Like they're already unpacked. They were there early. We were there like probably 30 minutes before, so we were fine because my booth doesn't take long to set up, but we were not unpacked yet, and we go to the car to start grabbing our stuff, and then when we come back, we notice that our lovely organizer is speaking to a park ranger. The park rangers have pulled up in their vehicle, and they are kind of blocking the sidewalk so that there's no more booths that can be set up. And we're close enough to kind of overhear the conversation. So we're hearing the cops telling our organizer that, you know, we got to pack up and go, basically. And so our lovely, lovely organizer, in his drunken stupor, starts to lie to the cop and say,
this is for a non-profit. We're raising money for homelessness.
And these cops are not buying it, right? Like, they've clearly had a run-in with this guy before, it seems like, because they seem to be familiar with each other. And then he moves on to anger. He says,
well, you let all the homeless people sleep in this park. Why can't we why can't we use this park for the vending?
And they're like, you didn't get the proper permits. And he's like, So then he turns to begging and pleading. He's actually like on his knees at this point, like,
guys, come on, like, da-da-da, look at, I've got all these people here, you want me to just send them home?
and the cops were like, yeah, you didn't get the proper permitting. And mind you, like, the cops are not being rude to any of us, and they're not even being rude to this man. They're just like kind of fed up. So he comes over to us after like 15 minutes. It's pretty tense with all the vendors. We're just like sitting there watching, like, what is gonna happen here. Well, he comes over to us and tells us that we have to pack up and go and that the event is canceled. And when I tell you I was pissed, that's an understatement, but I couldn't have been as pissed off as the people who brought perishable items and prepared. Like, they had driven over an hour or two. The people I was going to set up next to had come like from 2 hours away and had cut all of this fresh fruit. Like, what were they going to do with it now? They didn't have an event to vend at. So, of course, I was livid. And I don't even remember the event organizer apologizing. I remember him just coming up and like telling us it was canceled and that was it. And then he kind of stumbled off and went back to whatever cave he came out of. And the cops were actually, or the rangers were actually the ones that were apologizing to us. And they felt so bad. But they were like, it's not your guys' fault at all. This was completely on them. The organizers, like, they needed to go through the right channels. They didn't get the proper permits. Like, we can't let you guys sell here, but you guys didn't do anything wrong. So anyway, I'm mad. My fiance goes to talk to the rangers just to get a better idea of what was going on. And they told him that these guys have been operating this way for literal years. And the cops have been telling them that they need to get the proper permits in order to continue to organize events, and they just won't do it. The ranger told all of us that if we showed up at the event the next day, it would also be shut down, so we might as well save our time. So fortunately, I didn't waste my time with that one. There was no way I was going to go back to that one again the next day. So anyway, I was just absolutely livid. I wanted to go talk to the organizer and give him a piece of my mind. I was feeling a little unhinged at the time, but I didn't do any of that. My fiance stopped me. Fortunately, that wouldn't have been, well, I don't know what that would have done, but when I tell you I was pissed, I was mad, like real mad, because it's just super irresponsible. Like, and super greedy. I mean, I paid $70 for my spot. It wasn't like I paid $10 and it was like all these red flags came up. There's a market that I go to regularly that is well organized and has really great foot traffic for $50. So when I paid the $70 booth fee, I kind of thought that it would be, you know, a reasonable event, and it was not. It was not whatsoever. So anyway, we packed up our car, and then I had to find another event. I scrambled to find another event, and I ended up choosing an event that was really not the best fit for me, and I barely broke even. That's my fault, but that was my story. It was a really frustrating thing, and I definitely learned a lot from it, though. I learned that I need to be more choosy with my events that I go to, because there's nothing worse than, number one, barely getting foot traffic at your booth, but number two, doing all of that prep work and thinking that you're going to a market to sell stuff only to be shut down or to not even be able to set up. It's just not cool whatsoever. So I guess my warning for anyone who wants to get into markets is do your research, and also if something doesn't feel right, then it's probably not. Follow your instinct. Fortunately, I was able to get my booth fee back, but it was just really disappointing, all in all. It was a really disappointing experience. I've told anybody who would listen to me at the other events that I vend at not to go through these guys, because they're not even a real company. They're not even event organizers. They're really scammers. So yeah, that concludes my horror story. If you have had any experiences similar or just wild but different, I would love to hear about them in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with me today, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye!